Assalamu alaikum students. So here I am Tuba Ansari starting with our chapter number 14, Human Nutrition, part 2. So today we are going to start with our topic, human nutrition. So starting with our topic with the subtopic called as what? Stomach. Okay. Now see regarding the stomach. Under stomach, as you all are quietly well aware of the stomach, what do you mean by stomach? Basically, it is a J-shaped muscular bag. It is a J-shaped muscular bag that stores the food. The function of the stomach is storing of the food that we eat, and then after the storing of the food what we eat, it breaks it down into tiny pieces. This is the basically a very fundamental and a very basic function of the stomach, to store the food and to break it down into small particles. Then the next function is what? It mixes the food with digestive juices. Stomach, it mixes the food with mix up the food, the food that is got cut it down into tiny particles. It get mixed up with the digestive juices. Now the question arises, from where does this the tiny juices arises? From where does this digestive juices arises? We get this digestive juices from the different types of the fruits that we eat, like papaya, all the juicy fruits that we eat, like papaya, like watermelon, all the citrus fruits. They contain a very good amount of the juices, and they are the digestive juices. Under papaya, the juice that contains the enzymes, they are called as what? Papain. The papain is the enzyme which cut down the bigger particles into the smaller one. So under stomach, the food get mixed up with the digestive juices, then it which contains the enzymes to break down the proteins and lipids. Okay, whatever the food that we eat, they contains proteins, lipids and carbohydrates, isn't it? These are the different organic content what we get from our food particles. So it gets broken down into its smaller units with the help of the digestive juices and the enzymes what we get from our food. Okay, coming to the our third point. Coming to our third point is what? It is coming to our third point, that is what? It is the acid. It is regarding the acid. Acid is present in the stomach, which kills the bacteria. Now the question arises, which acid? Basically different types of acid, like hydrochloric acid. All this acid we get from the different types of the food, but that is not dangerous for our for our body, but it is dangerous for the bacteria which we get from the environment, which we inhale from the environment, from our surrounding. So the bacteria or the harmful organisms or the harmful microorganisms which are dangerous for our body, it has to be get killed, and naturally, organically, it is killed with the help of the acid which are present in our stomach. So acid which are present in the stomach, they kills the bacteria. Fine. Coming to the next point, food found in the stomach is called chyme. Food that is found in the stomach, that is called chyme. Now, which food that is called as chyme? The food which has been get chopped down, which has been get cut it down into smaller particles in the stomach. That food is called as what? Chyme. I'm repeating it once more. That is called as what? Chyme. Now coming to the last point, our stomach is divided into three parts: cardiac stomach, fundus stomach, and pyloric stomach. In the figure you can see, first we will see the above portion of the figure. In that, the red colored highlight part, that is the stomach. It shows the presence of the stomach. That is the stomach. The red colored highlight part is the stomach. Now moving on to the lower figure, it shows that our stomach, the human being stomach, is divided into three parts: cardiac, fundus, and pyloric. Okay, cardiac, fundus, and pyloric. Cardiac is the highlighted part, blue colored highlighted portion. Fundus is the above portion, yellow color portion, and pyloric is the lower portion, a pink color portion. So basically our stomach is divided into three parts. One more thing I would like to say regarding the stomach, that our stomach is located in the upper left portion of the abdominal cavity. Here you can see the position of the stomach in the figure above, which darkened the red colored. You can see over here the darker red color portion. So they are situated on the upper left portion of the abdominal cavity. It is muscular sac-like J-shaped organ, around 25 to 30 centimeter in length. The length of the stomach is how much? 25 to 30 centimeter. Okay, so this is all about our stomach. Now, furthermore, we will see in the next. Furthermore, we will see in the next slide. Now, I am going to here give you a little more description regarding the all the three different parts of the stomach. The first one is the cardiac stomach. It is the first part in which esophagus opens. The cardiac surrounds the band of circular muscles present at the junction of esophagus and stomach, called as what? Cardiac sphincters. The cardiac sphincters prevents the backflow or regurgitation of food from stomach to esophagus. Now, I would like to make you clear over here. What do you mean by sphincters? Sphincters are basically, they are the valve. They are the valve which prevents the backflow of anything. जो स्फिंक्टर्स वो होते हैं जो किसी चीज को पीछे दोबारा वापस नहीं जाने देते. They are called as what? Sphincters. They prevent the backflow of anything. So here the cardiac sphincters, what they are preventing? They are preventing the backflow of food. It means the regurgitation of food. Backflow of food is also called as regurgitation. Regurgitation of food is also defined as vomiting. Okay, so regurgitation of food is nothing as a, but it is a vomiting. Vomiting is a common general word, whereas in scientific term, the vomiting is said by regurgitation of food. As you all know, vomiting is what? The backflow of the food what we have eaten. So this backflow of food is prevented by the sphincters. Which sphincters? Cardiac sphincters of the cardiac stomach. Okay. Now moving on to the next portion, that is the fundus. It is the dome-shaped region above and left of cardia. Here they are saying the position of the fundus. They are the dome-shaped region above and left of cardia. Now moving on to the next portion, body of the stomach. It forms the large central portion of the stomach that stores the food. Okay, so body, it forms the large central portion. Basically, it is the large central portion of the stomach that stores the food inside it. It stores the food inside it. Okay, now moving on to the last part, that is the pyloric stomach. It is a narrow posterior region. Posterior means the backward region. It is a narrow posterior region of stomach. It opens into duodenum, the initial part of the intestine. What do you mean by duodenum? It is the earlier or the initial, the starting part of the small intestine. That is called duodenum. So pyloric stomach, it opens into the duodenum, the initial part of the intestine. This opening is guarded by a set of sphincter muscles called pyloric sphincters. It regulates the flow of food from stomach to small intestine. Now I am going to say here a few functions of the stomach. The stomach temporarily stores the food and gives the feeling of satiety. It churns the food means what? It cut down and chop up the food and helps in mixing the food with the gastric juices. So this is basically the main important function of the stomach. Churning of the food, and it helps in mixing the food with the gastric juices. Now, in the next slide, we will study the small intestine. Okay, small intestine, they are roughly about 7 meters long. Lining of the intestine walls has finger-like projections called villi. The lining means the outline of the intestine walls. Sorry. The lining of the intestine walls has finger-like projections. They are called as what? Villi, which increases the surface area. The villi are covered in microvilli, which further increases the surface area for absorption. The more the surface area will be there, the more the absorption of the food will take place. Okay, so it is very good to have a very good number of microvilli. And our Creator, our God, Alhamdulillah, He has put Himself in our body a very good projections like structure that is called villi for the better absorption of the food. Some more thing regarding the small intestine. They are what? Small intestine, it is about 2.5 centimeters broad tube coil-like structure within the abdominal cavity. The coils are held together. These are held together by mesenteries. These are the tissues. The mesenteries, they are the tissues, and it supports the blood vessels. They supports the coils. They are held together by mesenteries. Mesenteries are the connective tissues. Mesenteries are the connective tissues, and again they supporting the blood vessels, lymph vessels, and nerves. The coils. So what I'm saying, the coils are supporting the blood vessels, lymph vessels, and nerves. Okay. Then again we will see next is what? Now, small intestine is divided into three parts: duodenum, jejunum, and ileum. They are divided into three parts: duodenum, jejunum, and ileum. Duodenum, it is the upper portion. It is about the 26 centimeter long U-shaped structure. The duodenum turns towards the left side of the abdominal cavity below the stomach. Coming to the jejunum, it is about 2.5 meters long, coiled middle portion of the small intestine. It is narrower than the duodenum. Coming to the last portion of the small intestine, they are the ileum. It is about 3.5 meters long. It is highly coiled and little broader than the jejunum. The ileum opens into the cecum of the large intestine at ileocecal junction. So, this is all about the small intestine. We will see further in the next. Slide regarding the. We will see a little bit in the next slide regarding the small intestine. Now moving on to the next slide, that is called as what? The large intestine. Under large intestine, it is all about. Here in the figure you can see on the right side of the figure the highlighted part, the brown color highlighted portion, that is the large intestine. And on the left side you can see the large intestine. It is divided into three different portion: the ascending colon, transverse colon, and descending colon. And towards the left side, towards its extreme left side, there is the appendix, and towards the right extreme, that is the rectum. So this is what the actual large intestine contains: ascending, descending, and transverse colon, along with the appendix and the rectum on both the extremes. Okay, so starting with the large intestine. It is about 5 feet long. It accepts what small intestine don't absorb. I'm repeating it once more. It absorbs, or it accepts what the small intestine don't absorb. It means that the remaining of the portion, the remaining part, or the remaining food substance which is not get absorbed by the small intestine, it has been get absorbed by the large intestine. Okay, I hope now this is clear. Moving on to the third point, rectum. It contains the rectum. Rectum is what? It is a short-term storage which hold the feces before it is expelled out. So rectum is the place where the human's feces are situated for a smaller portion of a time, and it is expelled out at the time of expellation. Okay, so then apart from this, I would like to say some more thing on the large intestine. Large intestine, it is wider in diameter and shorter than small intestine. It consists of cecum, colon, and rectum. We'll study regarding the cecum. Cecum is a small blind sac present at the junction of ileum and colon. It is a 6 centimeter in length. It hosts some symbiotic microorganisms, means helping microorganisms, good microorganisms. An elongated worm-like vermiform appendix arises from the cecum. Appendix is a vestigial organ in human beings and functional in herbivorous animals for the digestion of cellulose. It is vestigial organ means it is of no use in our body. Till now, what science is saying, that appendix is not in use, or it's a vestigial organ in human beings. Okay, and appendix is only functional in herbivorous animals. It means herbivorous animals also contains the appendix, which is useful in them for the digestion of cellulose. As the herbivorous animals, they eat the plants, and plants contain the cellulose. For digestion of the cellulose, this appendix is useful in case of animals, herbivorous animals, but not in our case. In human beings, appendix is considered as a vestigial organ. Fine. Now moving on to the next portion of the large intestine, next part of the large intestine, that is called as what? Colon. Colon. Cecum opens into colon. Colon is a tube-like organ, consists of three parts: ascending colon, transverse colon, and descending colon. The colon is internally lined by mucosal cells. Okay, one more thing I would like to give you as a part of knowledge, that you all are quite aware of the different types of cancers, right? So colon cancers also takes place. Okay, it's a fact. It is the true thing that colon cancers also occur. The cancer, the cancer or the tumor also forms at this position, where at colon. So when the tumor is formed at this position, then this tumor again it converts into the cancer. It forms into cancer at this position. Then this type of cancer is called as what? Colon cancer. Fine. I have just said this word as just to give you a side by side knowledge. Okay. Now moving on to the third portion of the large intestine, that is called as what? Rectum. Rectum, it is a posterior region of the large intestine. It means it is the last. Posterior means the last. It is the last or the backside region. Last or the backside region of the large intestine. It temporarily stores the undigested waste material. For a smaller period of time, just for temporarily, it stores the undigested waste material called as what? Feces. Till it is get egested out through anus, or it is get expelled out only till that time that feces is stored in this rectum. Okay. Now we'll move to the next slide, and we'll study more regarding the large intestine. We'll study a little bit regarding the large intestine. Fine. Now we will study the function of the large intestine, and this is the last part of today's lecture. So we will discuss regarding the function of the large intestine. So starting with the function, bacterial digestion. So large intestine, it digests the bacterial digestion takes place. It means what? Some of the bacteria, it ferments the carbohydrates, and it do the protein breakdown also. It breaks down the protein, a large amount of protein, a complex structure of protein into smaller amino acids form. Okay, with the help of the bacteria, and it's all done in the large intestine. Then it ferments the carbohydrates also. The carbohydrates which we get carbohydrates are what? They are the sugars, and that we get from where? From the different types of the food sources like rice, barley, wheat. So these are the different types of the sources from where we get the carbohydrates. So the fermentation of this carbohydrate takes place through the bacterial digestion with the help of the bacteria which are present in the large intestine. So the large intestine, in this the functions are what? Bacterial digestion. What they do, the bacteria, they do the digestion with the how? By chopping up the carbohydrates into small amount in the small particles and breaking down the proteins. So this is one of the function of the large intestine. And next function is what? They absorb more water. Large intestine, they absorb they absorb more water and they concentrate the waste. So this is all about the large intestine. Now here I'm ending up my today's lecture. Thank you, students, for listening my lecture so patiently. Thank you so much.